this was all an accident. I just do something on the side for some extra income. It slowly started picking up. And then like 3.5 years into my career, I made more in 3 months than I do in my annual salary. I think maybe now is the time to take the leap.
Hey everyone, this is Carmen Dovat from Behind the Founders, and today joining me will be Saadi Sabah. Saadi, welcome. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, hi. Thank you for having me. My name is Saadi Sabah, and I'm the founder of ECA Financial Consultancy. Happy to be on this podcast, so thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining me as well. So to get us started, can you tell the listeners and audience out there what inspired you to start ECA Financial Consultancy?
Well, to be honest, it kind of happened by accident. Like anyone else, I'm fresh out of college. I just got my first career job as a staff accountant. And, like most founders or other people at least I speak to, there's always that goal of escaping that hamster wheel of just running and working for someone. So I was in college. I started doing taxes for friends and family. I worked at a boutique like tax franchise. It was like H&R Block. I learned a little bit. After one season, I was like, okay, I don't want to do this with them anymore. Let me just do it for my friends and family. I did it something on the side. So I was 20 years old. I was started off as working with 10 clients that were friends and family, are now over 900 clients across the US. So it's been a journey
Yeah.
since I started. And this was all, like I said, on accident. I started off like anyone, just do something on the side for some extra income. It slowly started picking up year over year. And then like 3.5 years into my career, I remember I'm sure everyone's familiar, but for accountants, tax season's really busy. And I remember going through, my ledger, I was doing my books, and I was like, wow, I made more in 3 months than I do in my annual salary. I think maybe now is the time to take the leap. So then, I took a leap of faith. I kept trying to quit my job. And every time I quit, I ended up getting delayed only because they offered me more money to stay.
So
So
you're
I was
kind
like,
of
okay, I want to quit.
yeah.
So I was
Okay.
like, and then after 2 weeks, I regretted it. And I was okay, a few months passed, I quit again. I remember I quit 3 times in 14 months. And on the third time, they were like, okay, this is enough. I can't, we have to let him go. And, that was in 2023, and I haven't looked back since. So it's been a journey.
Yeah, I can imagine as well. Must have been really crazy that it was like every time you tried to quit, they were trying to find ways to keep you and to make you stay and so on like that. What kind of things they do to kind of like keep you in your, typical 9 to 5 job?
I got a substantial pay raise every time. And
Okay.
I did get promoted. So I did advance in my career, and that's something I had to consider, that job title, because that could go with me anywhere when they promoted to something called a controller. But just more money, essentially. And then the golden handcuffs just got harder to break, because it's like, oh, now it's like, am I going to walk away from this guaranteed salary versus taking this risk and, pursuing something of my own? So it kind of made it really hard. But yeah,
Okay. And what would you
pretty much.
say, like you said that you really tried to quit 3 times within the year. What would you say is like your breaking point where you're like, okay, this is it. I'm done with this 9 to 5 job life for good.
I lost out on a $4,000 project because I wasn't available to have my own office and see a potential client. I remember my phone would start ringing nonstop during work hours. I kept having to step outside. And when I lost that client, something broke in me. And I was like, okay, this is enough. I'm never going to let that happen again. And I formally quit. And I said, there's no amount of money you can pay me that's going to change this, unfortunately. And that was my breaking point when I lost that job, because I wasn't all in. And I realized it's going to continue to happen until I go all in. So that was the point, really.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. Well, I mean, yeah, good for you. My respect to you for taking that leap of faith to really do something that really wasn't by, a coincidence. It was kind of like, you found and reconnected to your purpose of really starting this like tax, consultancy firm, helping out friends and family. And I just wanted to go back to what you mentioned. It's really amazing that it started off as something like, you do on a side, and then it grew into like numerous amount of clients. So what would you say were the different ingredients or factors that kind of influence this exponential growth of number of clients? Was it through personal recommendations, or what were the strategies you did to get more clients?
Well, I had a philosophy where if you just do a good job, the rest usually takes care of itself. This is a word of mouth business. So when you do something good for somebody, they'll be your biggest advocate, and they're going to want to tell all their friends and family about you. So I started off with like 10 to 30 to 100. And when you have 100 people talking about you, it's like a wildfire. And now it just starts spreading astronomically. I started finding myself too, as I had a best friend. I guess one of the most pivotal things in the business was I had a best friend that was an entrepreneur. He works in the e-commerce space, selling online, direct to consumer, Amazon, eBay, you name it. And then he started a community of other founders and entrepreneurs, and he started teaching them on how to start their own business. From there, he actually invited me to his community to offer tax advice and tips for business owners and things of that nature. So then he had 1,000 members all across the US from online. And I'm just in their channel every other day posting tax tips, deadlines, reminders, strategies to implement. And it really, really took off in terms of spreading my firm across the states. And like I said just now, as of 2026, we're serving over 900 clients every tax season alone. And that's not including bookkeeping, payroll, sales tax, and all those other nuances that come with handling a company. So I'd say that's one of the biggest pivotal moments in the business. Just starting that community, because now I'm in over 30 communities doing the same thing, which is dropping that tax advice, those tips, just really establishing myself as a resource for
Yeah.
entrepreneurs.
Like when it comes to like the world of like taxes, right? This is like a need. This is something that that affects all of us, right? But it's also at the same time quite a pain for many of us, right? So I just love to know like how did you end up in the world of finances, accounting, bookkeeping, and taxes? Like, what do you love and enjoy about that?
So I got into this field by accident. Fresh out of school, I did not know what I wanted to do for a career or a living. I picked a random major and it was business management. My girlfriend at the time said I'm not going to have a job once I graduate. And like anyone else, you just want to get a job, make some money and, pay your bills. That was the dream. So then I picked accounting because that's usually like a safe bet for the most part in terms of getting employment. And that's how I got into it. So I changed my major to accounting. And then that's how I lined everything up to kind of go in that career path. But again, it's pretty much it seemed like all accidents, but the road just kept paving its way to where I am now. I can't explain it, but
Yeah, yeah.
it seems like there was something always in front of me to step towards this or gravitate towards it. So
Okay. Yeah, that's really cool. And along that journey, like what kind of challenges have you faced?
delegation was the biggest one. In the beginning when I started my firm, this was my baby and I couldn't let go of control. So I had to be everything to everyone.
Okay.
So I was their accountant. I'm also the sales representative. I'm also the administrative support. I'm the back end. So I was juggling many, many hats. And I guess once I was able to accept hiring someone and, actually spend the money, because it's nerve wracking. You go from a career to starting a business to now you're employing people and they expect to be paid every week, every 2 weeks. So business goes up, business goes down. It's starting
Yeah.
to get compensated. So that
Yeah.
was very nerve wracking for me because I wasn't as risk adverse as I am now. So that was the biggest hurdle. But the second I brought on, her name is Jessa, but she's my A player, everything changed. My business literally, we went from I delegated some tasks to a lot of tasks to now making her a manager. Now she has a team under her. So now I have multiple accounting managers. So really, that was the most pivotal moment in the business in terms of delegating and really giving me the chance to scale and grow. Because now I can go out and start talking to people. I can go network, and yeah, that really made a huge impact.
Absolutely, for sure. It definitely does make a difference, right? To have like a team behind you, running behind the scenes in order for you to really prioritize, meet other clients, focus a lot on your business output and growth and everything like that. And it's interesting because I feel like from the conversations that I've been having with other business founders, it seems to be like a common, I would say, challenge to learn to let go and delegate it to someone else because it's like you said, it's like it's your baby. It is what you have been building as well. Why do you think it's so difficult to let it go or delegate part of your responsibilities, whether it's in sales or administration or bookkeeping to someone else? What do you think makes it so hard?
It's a trust factor, right? It's you want to trust in the fact that this person's going to take care of the clients as you would, especially in at least my business model, word of mouth is everything. And it's always reputation. So it takes years and years to build one
Absolutely.
day to
Yeah.
ruin it, let it collapse, whether that's from planning, advisory, serving the client. So they hold a lot of responsibility once you do delegate. But I think just having controls, being really clear on expectations, and that's something you learn as you go, right? Because no one's going to be perfect, no hire is going to be perfect, but they can grow into being this wonderful asset to your business. And that's what I learned. Don't give up on people. Give them the chance to grow and actually communicate what you want. That's the biggest thing, communication, right? So if you're not doing that, of course there's going to be gaps. You're not going to be happy. But I really learned and dialed down on what to expect from my team and how to get them there and really encourage them and empower them to do it. So I think that's like I'm more of a hype man nowadays, speaking to my team every day. This is where we're going to go. Team's going to get this much. We're going to have bonuses, holidays. So that's really what I find myself doing the day to day, other than talking to clients or new prospects.
Yeah, yeah. It's also really exciting as well, right? Because it's like you have a little bit of like more interaction with people besides the clients, which is like you're not really so much of like an island as well. So it's like it's always really nice to be able to like sit together and have different sets of eyes and ideas and everything like that. So you talked a lot about it takes years, right, to build trust so that they're able to stand, hand in hand with you to maintain or improve the reputation, the image of your business. Do you think there's any other important things when it comes to building rapport or trust in relationships within your team members?
Yeah, so what I learned from other accounting firms, and I see it what their mistakes are, when you get a client, it's also important to keep them, right? So this is something I saw with other accountants. They churned a lot, or clients would roll over. And the biggest thing was communication, getting in touch, being able to reach them, or questions when you have a big life or financial decision, purchasing a house, business needs a building, and no one's there to answer, support you in navigating this from at least a tax perspective. So what I learned is just maintaining that same quality as you grow. Hyper scaling doesn't always make the most sense. If you're growing sustainably at 5-10%, building the systems and keeping the clients, right?
Yeah.
Making sure they're happy. Because at least for me, I have the same clients I've had since 2017 when I started this. The only time from what I learned is when a client leaves is if, God forbid, there's something with a partner, business fails, something of that nature. But I can count the number of clients on one hand that has left for not being pleased with the service. So it's not new client acquisition. It's important, but it's also important to keep your clients, at least from my model, because this is a recurring thing. They have to file every year. Financials are delivered every month. It's an ongoing, relationship. So it's not only getting new clients, but it's also taking care of the ones you have and not forgetting that. And that's why I see a lot of business owners lack. They're so focused on new client acquisitions, but not knowing that they could serve their current base even better, and they would be happy to even pay more for more services. So it's a balance. I see people like focus on hyperscaling growth, but not having the systems to handle that, and then it goes poof, bust. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I think what you mentioned, right, about long-term retention, it is often overlooked as well. People often think the higher the numbers, the better. The more clients, the more successful your business would be. But at the same time, it's also about the importance of making sure that your existing clients are still happy, right? And it's quite similar actually in our where we are at Cherry Assistant. We do something really similar as well. And actually, yeah, I was having a chat with one of the hires that I had yesterday, and she was saying that, yeah, it is quite different than other staffing agencies because oftentimes when you think of the staffing agencies, really similar, right? You bring in the people, job is done, you check it off the list, on to the next one as well. But like what we try to do is we really have like a check-in, like a really proactive check-in for the first month. It'll be like daily check-ins, then every other day. And then afterwards, it'll be like a bi-weekly one as well to ensure this, long-term retention piece as well. And that's often really important because so much can happen. And you also want to be their advocate, be on their behalf, making sure that everything's happy before it's too late. And what you mentioned about the communication is, yeah, it is really crucial as well, because that can obviously go a long way in ensuring the alignment expectations for those client partnerships as well. Yeah, yeah, definitely for sure. Okay, well, Saadi, let's talk a little bit more about your team and your, operational setup. You talked about that, you started to delegate tasks, hand over, and have different people serving different functions. How many of you are there in the team, and what are the typical functions that are operating within ECLAT Financial Consultancy?
So our team size is with about 27 staff. I have 5 accounting managers, each leading a division, meaning I have an accounting manager leading the tax division, I have a sales tax division, bookkeeping, advisory, and payroll. So it kind of each one leads the functions for those services of the firm, and they all report to me. We have a daily check-in, and then under them they have about a few staff for each team, depending on how many clients I have allocated to them. So it took a long time to get there, but that's kind of the flow. So I'll have a daily check-in with the managers. They'll inform me of any team updates, client updates, and really if I have any bookings or there's like for example, I need to check in with this client. There's a big concern, so I'll book a one-on-one consultation with them or things like that. But ideally, I just have a daily check-in with my team, and then I structure my days pretty nicely. Where Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays would be just for new client meetings. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays are for current clients. And then I have dedicated slots in my day for deep work where I block everything off and just get the most important stuff hammered out.
Okay. And where are they all based? Is it remote? Are they on site?
Yeah, so we have 5 here in the US, like 3 other CPAs, an enrolled agent, actually 6 here, I'm sorry, and I have a project manager. And then I have some overseas support spread out in Pakistan, the Philippines, and even Egypt as well. Yes.
International. Yeah, yeah. And where did you
Yeah.
find the overseas offshore staff?
So I found them online for one of my managers, and I hired an accounting professor at a university overseas. And then what she started doing was hiring her best students for
Snowball effect.
employment. So I kind of got it in. So now I kind of have a good base because the top students, they get job offers. So we have a good talent pipeline now. That was one of the biggest things now. So I get, and nothing's better than that because you vet them. At least my staff vets them during the semester. So it's been good. And then Egypt, I'm Syrian. I have a Middle Eastern background, so I have friends and family that connected me in Egypt and
Okay.
India and Pakistan. They found me actually on LinkedIn,
Okay.
and I interviewed some people and we went from there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's really cool. It's really awesome. I think it just goes to show, a lot of it is also through like word of mouth and, recommendations. And that also builds like this really sustainable, trusting relationships between team members as well. Okay. And looking at your current team setup now, would you say, is there anything where you're still like, okay, I would still feel like it would help me scale my business if I were to delegate a certain set of tasks? Is there any operational challenges you're currently facing at the moment?
I'd say the biggest thing I'm doing now it would be to probably get like a CEO, chief operating officer, someone that the managers report to, and I could just oversee the vision, scaling, and networking and growing the firm. Because every time I go outside or even to an event, it has an astronomical change for my business. And if I could just focus on that, I could scale this firm to $100 million a year. And that's for an accounting firm, that's a very bold vision. But I do see the pathway there. So I guess that would be probably the biggest lever I can pull in the near future. And it's not just finding, a random person. It's actually either I'm going to develop them internally, and I have some means for that too, where I'm developing some staff to eventually get to my role, and then I could just step out of the day to day completely and just focus on scaling this thing as far as I can.
Okay, so you're basically looking for somebody to currently fill in your shoes as like the CEO while you're able to focus on other day-to-day activities and so on.
Correct.
Okay, okay. All
There are
right.
other things I know I can be doing that can really take me to the next level, and one of those things would be like creating content, which is why I'm on this interview.
Oh, yeah. Nice. Okay. And in terms of like content creation, do you have somebody as well that will be supporting you with that in terms of social media, content creation?
So I have 2 full-time staff just for social media, and then I hired a video team just 45 days ago. They're actually one of my current clients, so it's nice. I've worked with them before, and they've been coming to my office, making scripts, and we started recording now.
Nice.
And hopefully, I know that'll generate a positive ROI in the
Yeah.
future and help me building this brand. So
Okay.
I'm just starting to dabble. I was really against it. Unfortunately, I know that's the only way to get me to the next
Mm,
level.
okay. All right. So let's talk about another topic that I typically like to ask for all the guests coming onto the podcast. It's about the topic of AI, right? It is become quite a hot topic. It's like surrounding us. People have different opinions about it, but I think it's always interesting to learn a little bit about different perspectives. So, what are your thoughts on AI?
I think AI is a tool, and like anything else, it's only as good as the holder. So a lot of people have some negative thoughts about it. It's going to take jobs and do all this other stuff. When I think on the contrary, I'm an optimist. I'm not a pessimist. I think this is going to really help businesses scale. I'm putting in my some day-to-day processes, even just the simple workflows and automations. When I have to do tax research, what would take me 3 days is now taking me 30 minutes to really pinpoint. So I think like anything else, it's a tool. And I'm sure people thought the same thing with the dot-com bubble. People thought the same thing in prior with any big major change, where there are a few people that looked at it differently and said, okay, this is going to be a once in a lifetime opportunity in my face, where early adoption is really going to set the difference of your future. I've seen I have some clients, it's a one person business and they scaled all the way to 100,000 a month with just AI, no team, just an agency. And I've
Okay.
even heard stories of $1 billion companies start with just AI with no team. So you really have this opportunity here. And there's such a huge gap in who's using it and who's not using it. What do I mean by that? I'm working with thousands of clients that are over the age of 50 that still can't turn on their laptop.
Oh, yeah.
So
True.
there's still a huge market share and opportunity for people that are willing to come into this business. There are businesses that don't even have websites up yet and all these other things, meaning that's opportunity for someone with AI to come in and say, hey, get your business live, I'll do this. So I'm all for it. And I'm trying to get the most out of it as I can. I really went down the rabbit hole with trying to automate everything, and that's not possible. But you start small. You go with the most simplest task that you can automate, and you go from there. Like, just a few weeks ago, I implemented an automatic review follow up, right? So once the engagement's complete, you send on automation goes out, collects a 5-star review. Simple tweaks like that, where it's just you start small, and next thing you're saving hours and hours of time, labor costs go down,
Yeah.
and your output increases. My output has increased drastically with even my team. A team of 5 can handle 900 clients. So in retrospect, that was not possible 12 years ago. I probably have to have
Yeah.
20 people on site, and it would be a nightmare to deal with that many. So like anything in life, AI is a tool. Not anything in life, but ideally it's a tool. And it's as good as the person holding it. So
Yeah.
that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I mean, I do believe that, like you said, it is a tool. It can be is really cost efficient as well, and also it depends how you use it as well, right? I think a lot of people sometimes they treat AI like it's another Google. You just type in a search engine, but it's really like a skill that you have to use in terms of how you use the prompts, how you also train the AI as well, right? Rather than having full dependency on that as well. So yeah, I think what you mentioned there is definitely really spot on as well. Okay, well, Saudi, just a final question that I like to ask to every guest joining on this podcast. If there was one advice, or maybe you might have multiple, that you would like to pass on to the listeners or someone considering the entrepreneurship journey, what would it be?
Take that step forward because you will never have it figured out. You will never be ready. Just jump in. I, I I have like a poster on my wall. It sounds, pretty cliche, but be the man in the arena. Head first. You will never figure it out. The time will never be right. The stars will not be aligned. When you go is when it happens, and you figure it out along the way. I didn't grow up. I didn't work for a big firm. I didn't have like someone giving me this blueprint on this is how you scale to this firm at this price. No, day by day. Take the step forward, and you will never have it figured out. Just you figure it out as you go. I'll leave it
Mm,
at that.
all right, figure out as you go. Great. Thank you. Well,
Yeah.
Saudi, thank you so much again for joining us on Behind the Founders. Be sure to stay tuned for the next episode and see you again.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, Carmen.